Hey, so for those of you catching the replay, we're just setting it up so that we are streaming into Facebook right now. So just hang tight. Hi, my name is Connie Currie. I am a certified fitness and nutrition coach. And today there's a few of us that are going to be coming to you talking everything gut microbiome. I am specifically going to be speaking about your gut microbiome and your brain connection. So how the bugs in our gut actually dictate how we feel. The food equals our mood. So I'm going to first go over the differences between cravings and hunger and their signaling, then the pathways that actually connect our gut to our brain, and then those causes that make that bad gut bacteria occur, how we best reestablish those pathways. And then I'm going to go over your top foods and supplements to optimize that gut microbiome. So first, we're going to dive in just real quick, hungers versus cravings. So hunger is your true biological need for nutrients, where cravings is your desire for anything, whether it be alcohol, drugs, ice cream, even like goals, achieving goals. So with hunger, there's lots of reminders in our body. So you have your hunger hormone, ghrelin, which I know many people are familiar with, and that is released in a very cyclical pattern. Then we have our neuronal pathways, the brain vagus nerve pathway. And then we have our gut pathways. So that gut bacteria actually is releasing signals to our brain that we are hungry. There's also signals that are stretch receptors from our gut to our brain. So the craving pathway to the brain is solely based on the dopamine pathway. So the dopamine pathway is your strongest driver. It is stronger than any other mechanism in our body to do something. That is the one where like you're sitting on the couch at like 9 to 10 p.m. and you're like, geez Louise, I'm going to go drive across town to have Dairy Queen. And we're like, what? Okay, so to reduce those hungers and cravings, you can work on your gut microbiome. I'm going to give you the 8 top causes for bad gut bacteria. There are others, but not eating a diverse range of food is one of them. Lack of prebiotics in the diet, drinking too much alcohol, antibiotic use or other prescription drug use, lack of exercise or physical activity, cigarette smoking, not getting enough sleep, and then like too much stress. And I know Dr. Carroll is going to talk about that last component there. So now we're going to talk about how do we change our gut microbiome. There are trillions of gut bacteria that live in our intestines and gut, which will signal cravings and hunger. It's like a puppeteer, pulling on those strings. In order to change your gut bacteria, there are a few things that we can do. So one of them is matching your circadian rhythm. So matching your eating pattern to your circadian rhythm is a great way to retrain that brain. So 80% of our genes work on our circadian rhythm. So you want to think about, don't start eating or drinking, you can have water, but till like 60 to 90 minutes after waking. And yes, that doesn't include coffee, sadly. And then, so it's like the sun up to sundown thing. So you also want to stop eating and have no alcohol for at least 2 hours prior to going to bed. So shifting that window to like the sun up, sun down, matching that circadian rhythm will really help that gut microbiome. You want to stop that 2 hours prior so that your microbiome also gets rest and gets to restore. And I know in the summer months, you really probably have to be a little more cognizant because it stays light out later, but think of like basically light being your guide. The other way would be changing your dietary habits. So replacing foods with other foods is super key on the dopamine pathway. Dopamine pathway does not want to think restriction. It will actually make those cravings stronger, so that you want to retrain that brain to do replacement. So stopping or significantly decreasing your simple sugars and your simple carbs, that will stop that insulin roller coaster. So you can really start to improve the things that you're craving in your brain. Taking in protein is a great way to induce your satiation hormones that tell you that you're full, like your leptin, your neuropeptide Y, your CCK. So you want to add in foods that communicate to the brain in a positive way. So your glucosinolates, like your cruciferous veggies, like your bok choy, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, horseradish, turnips, watercress. And then also adding in your dopamine-rich foods that support positive thinking, like your fish, your poultry, your strawberries, your green leafy vegetables, your eggs, your green tea. And then also serotonin-rich foods, which once again is poultry and eggs, but then you also have your salmon and your nuts and your seeds, pineapple, spinach. All of these are really great supportive, positive brain thinking foods. So I'm gonna jump a little bit off base here for a second, just so that you really narrow in and hone in on this gut brain microbiome connection. So there's a lot of research on psychobiotics now. So simply changing someone's gut microbiome bacteria can completely change someone's mood. So there's research out there that if you, and you might have heard about it, like those fecal transplants, and you hear about if you transplant gut bacteria, it will display in a mouse. So they have done research showing that taking the gut microbiome of a depressed patient and transplanting it into a mouse, the mouse will actually display depression. And they've done this with schizophrenic humans, where they've taken their gut microbiome and transplanted it into a mouse, and the mouse then displays schizophrenia. They're showing this in other countries with Alzheimer's, autism, anxiety, depression. It's just kind of mind-blowing. In the United States, it's only allowed in severe C. diff patients, but they are looking at it in other countries. So this just shows the key aspect of mental health that is located in that gut microbiome, that you can actually completely change an entire mental state. So there's another very strong pathway, the immune system pathway. It's actually like one of the strongest right after your vagus nerve, connecting to our brain. So exercise. When gut bacteria produces short chain fatty acids in a certain sequence in the body, it takes that info and it creates all kinds of changes for you. It's very anti-inflammatory. It goes to the brain. It's like a calming veil, and it really boosts that immune system. So increasing your short chain fatty acid production through the gut bacteria is one of our strongest ways to improve mood change. So you want, and it's also going to cause a change in anti-inflammatory. You're going to get those huge benefits from the anti-inflammatory effects. It also is going to achieve huge immune system benefits. So I don't think any of us are signing up for a microbiome transplant. So how do we do this aside from a transplant? So the number one is free, totally free. We get to exercise. So exercise is the most potent driver of short chain fatty acid production. And it's really considered probably a probiotic. It's like the best probiotic is exercise. It makes your gut super happy. It produces those short chain fatty acids, which then in turn produce more of themselves. And it is super anti-inflammatory. So the next would be diet. Diet is equal or similar to exercise. So diet or foods that actually increase our short chain fatty acids are your prebiotic fibers and your probiotic fibers. So once again, food creating our mood. So your probiotic foods are fermented foods. If you are able to have dairy, then in dairy, you can think of your yogurts, your kefir, your cottage cheese, apple cider vinegar that actually contains the mother. So it's a non-pasteurized apple cider vinegar. And then you have kombucha, kimchi, tempeh, natto, sauerkraut, pickles, pickled vegetables. So I have right here. So I don't know if you have Costco near you, but this raw organic sauerkraut, super, super great probiotic food. Also, Costco has kimchi. So if you want like 2 less expensive options to get that, they do have kombucha as well. So when it comes to adding more diverse intake into fermented foods, you want to consider adding a diverse amount, and then optimally, if you are trying to optimize your gut microbiome changes, you're looking for like 4 to 7 servings. In addition, we can always supplement with probiotic or prebiotic. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with our probiotic. And then the prebiotic is our pre, our pro, and our postbiotic. So those are great supplementations in addition to the food that you're taking in. So then when we're looking at prebiotic, it's a matter of eating more vegetables, especially stalks like asparagus or artichoke, chicory root, inulin. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with inulin, but it actually is also in our fiber product. The inulin is a prebiotic that produces more of the gut bacteria that actually helps us in our weight loss journeys. So in summary, we talked about trying to cut out those 8 causes for bad bacteria. And then matching that eating window, make sure you are aligning your eating window with the circadian rhythm. And then replacing craving foods and decreasing your simple sugars and carbs. And then adding in your glucosinolates, your dopamine-rich foods, your serotonin-rich foods. And then we're looking at the immune pathway. You want to exercise to increase those short-chain fatty acids and really help improve that immune boost in the immune system connection with our brain. And then we're going to increase our prebiotic and probiotic foods so that we increase that short-chain fatty acid more so. And then any supplementation that you care to do with probiotics, the prebiotic, any sort of like fiber with the prebiotics. I know, like for me, for example, I just had deviated septum turbinate surgery last week. So I had to be on a probiotic. I had to be on an antibiotic. And I'm not kidding you, I had like this distended gut. So the 5-day drop being so heavy on cleaning up the gut was amazing for me. And I know Amanda's coming up next and she's going to do an amazing job talking on gut and hormone, but I do believe she's going to be mentioning and getting into the 5-day drop as well. But thank you guys so much for joining on the gut brain connection. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, please comment below or DM me separately, Connie Currie, and have a fantastic day. Thanks so much.